3 goals coming to this event. See, even I have 3 points because I was a realtor too. My number 1 goal is I want to teach you how to be at your best. And I'm going to teach you that very early on today. And that's what being authentic, that's what this whole theme is about, is being at your best. The second goal I have is I want to see and hug every certain person in the room. So, and we have sessions for this the next couple days. Tomorrow night when we hang out, we have a great party lined up. Beverly's coming in, Anna's coming in, Alicia's coming in. We're all fired up and ready to go. I'm planning a meet and greet in cowboy boots is going to be something special. So I may be walking on eggshells on Wednesday morning. But even if you're like Todd and you're like, yeah, I know him 30 years. I'm standing in line to see that guy. I want you to come see me. So my goal is to see everybody. And because that's the juice. That's the blessing. That's been my commitment this year. Thank you. Tell Mom, that you can't call your Jern Peak. You pay a hell of a lot of money for this. That call's costing you about $100 right now. Yeah, 1,000. Okay. Where'd you come from, Alaska? By boat? All right. So I want to spend time with all of you. I want to see all of you. Again, it's been a joy this year. How many of you were at the Coaching Live in Vegas this year? Good time? And again, great experience. And again, that's an example. I'm trying to be an example of what I think the response to the market should be. And so we do this broadcast, which reaches thousands of people, but then we have like 150 people in a VIP seat, and we were able to hang out the night before, coach you up the next day. I got to see everybody, talk to everybody. And that's the juice. It's the juice for me. I believe it's the juice for you guys. And it's a good example also of how I really want you to focus on your business right now. And the third goal I have for this event is to walk away from here having a much greater understanding of your own personal imprint. That's the front of your workbook there. And that this authentic self, when it shows up at home and at work, leads to extraordinary results. And so those are my 3 goals. Would you guys be happy if we reach those 3 goals? And this is all bonus content, but I'll just give you just a little understanding here. I want to show you the difference between doing your best. Oops. Already screwing up. That's good. Doing your best. And what do you think the word is? Being your best. By a show of hands, how many of you in here would say you're doing your best? Yeah. So doing your best, I'll have situations, I have somebody working for me, they're doing their best. So what does that mean? Motivation. The motivation is pure. They're doing their best. They're doing their best. But can somebody be doing their best and not doing very well? Why is that? That's the word. They're not at their best. One of the things I made a commitment to is this market got tougher and tougher, and the business environment got tougher and tougher, and it's a tougher business environment for Buffini & Company. When you're the largest coaching company in the real estate space, and the real estate industry as large has had its 3 worst years, perhaps in history. Perhaps in history. By the way, that story doesn't show up anywhere because the average sales price has gone up. So the consumer's still doing okay. It's not a story on the nightly news the way it was in 08 and 09 and 10 because it doesn't affect the consumer. It only affects our industry. You have 4 million sales and 100 million more people since you had 4 million sales. That's a very significant downturn. Does that make sense? Now, watch this. How many of you in the last 12 months would say numerically or economically you've had your best year? Let me see your hands nice and high. Nice and high. Hell of a lot of people in this room. And I know it's tough to even raise your hands because it's like, how many of you haven't had a great 12 months? Let me see your hands. Okay? And we're watching all of this. We're seeing all of this. And we're seeing it inside our database. And it's, now, even people who are saying I'm having my best year ever, they go, man, it hurts like hell. I have to sell every house 3 times. Yeah? The idea of a cooperating agent is a concept only. Right? The lack of skills and professionalism in the business. How long have I been barking on this? Like grumpy grandpa, get off my lawn. You guys are seeing it every day, the lack of skills and professionalism in the business. Is that a true statement? Not just as a reason to rail on other realtors, but it's become such a low common denominator because after 11 years of increased prices, 14 years of a shortage of inventory, even pros that were really good became sloppy. And just so you know, it happens to us all. And when you don't use skills, they atrophy like muscles. And so when you don't use the skills, now people are like, oh my God, I have a listing for 45 days. What do I do? How the hell do you do this price reduction thing? How do you recalibrate expectations? How do you walk through? People are like, you want a physical inspection? Right? Because we had years where I'll take it as is. By the way, my buyer doesn't like it. They know they're paying too much and will take it as is. That is not normal real estate. And what happens is we had record money in the system, artificially so, and there was lots of reasons why all the governments of the world participate in this. But when the interest rate is zero, that's an artificial state of affairs. Would you guys agree? Banks are receiving their money at zero. Then they're able to lend it out at 2% and 3%, 4%. Then you had people artificially stuck at home getting money, and then you had people getting money from the government, millions and millions of small business owners. So we had increased balance sheets, decreased expenses because we couldn't go outside, and then 0% interest rates. So by 2022, everybody's walking around like I'm all that and a bag of chips, right? Warren Buffett says you don't know who's swimming naked till the tide goes out. And now there's butt cheeks everywhere. Everywhere. And all along, it's been kind of exhausting on real estate because we were the essential workers during COVID. We weren't the ones staying at home. All of our work increased. We had sanitized showings. Remember that? Like a hazmat suit. Don't touch anything. Don't touch anything. You're walking around. Cloroxing down your buyer. Showing houses on, FaceTime. Okay, I bought a house in Hawaii on FaceTime. Okay? So then we ran into the raging hot market. Then we had the speed of it. Then you're representing buyers and there was 29 offers. Or you were a seller. I'll respond to all offers on Tuesday. We will be selecting the winners of the prize. I will not tell you the criteria for my selection. I'm like a Russian judge in ice skating. I will select the winner, and you will not know why they're a winner, except perhaps that they're also my buyer. And now we have this market. A lot of people doing their best. A lot of people in this room doing their best. What I came to the conclusion of, and what I'll always I'll lead transparently, is Brian Buffini was doing his best but was not at his best. So I decided not for the rates to change, not for the government to get more organized, not for politics or markets to change, or for agents to change, or employees to change, or for anything to change. I made a commitment for me to be at my best. Now, just so you know, I have no idea what that means because the concept is destination-wise. Oh, at your best financially, at your best physically, at your best in your relationships. I don't think you know what at your best is until you're not at your best. If that makes sense, say aye. But this is where it's at. So what I will tell you for me in my house, I'm pursuing being at my best. I'm pursuing being at my best spiritually. Being at my best as a husband, father, grandfather. Being at my best in my work life at Buffini and Company, my work life serving all of you. I've made a commitment to be at my best in making good financial decisions. I've made a commitment to be at my best emotionally and physically. I've made a commitment to be at my best. And whatever my best is going to be my best. At my best, I know I will not be 6'4". I know that. But I am wearing cowboy boots on Tuesday night, so we'll see. If you've been doing your best, you deserve credit and grace. Okay? You deserve credit and grace. No matter what the results are. If the results good, bad, or indifferent, credit and grace. Credit yourself because your motivation and your effort has been good. But being at your best, well, that's going to require something a little different. And that's what this whole event's about, to try to help you be at your best. So, hopefully that's what you came for, because that's what you're getting. And there's no refunds, so you're screwed. So right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, I'm going to speak to you now from a practicing real estate agent. And one of the things that's really helped me right now in my life is I went back into the period when I was absolutely rocking in real estate. And that's one of the things I did. And when I was rocking in real estate, I went back to when I was rocking in high school playing ball. And when I went back into those things, I've done it before, I can do it again. Let me tell you what I did as one of the top real estate agents in the United States. Immersion. And I did immersion when the market was tough. Some of you came here and go, man, I can't believe I'm going to this thing. I don't really have time. Got these 2 deals on life support. This thing's finally going to close. I'll try and do it during the breaks, whatever. Let me tell you, you want to be a high achiever. You want to be how many of you want to be at your best? Like, are you willing to fight for it? You need to immerse yourself. Now, I'm not just saying this self-servingly. I'm telling you, every freaking event we got going on, your butt should be in a seat. When we go to Vegas, you guys should be there, networking and brainstorming and trading referrals. When we go to the leadership conference, you want to hang out with people making $918,000? Go hang out with those folks. You need to be hanging out with one another. You need to be call, Zoom, and get on a plane and go see each other. How many of you currently have a backlog of really cool books? I was sharing with the folks backstage, wouldn't it be great if there was an app that told you how many hours a day you were reading, praying, and thinking? As opposed to, you spent 9 hours on the phone this week, every day. Scroll, 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 scroll. Now let me send that distraction to someone else who might be working so I can distract them too. Not saying I'm not going to scroll. I get some funnies from that stuff that I use in seminars. I like to make my wife giggle. Our kids think it's the greatest thing in the world. She'll be at the other end of the house, and I'll send her a little Instagram video, and I'll hear this big laugh, and the kids just go, we have teenagers as parents. But I'm going to say this, in order to be at my best, I made a goal. Cut it in half. Cut it in half, and it's amazing what I filled it up with. Amazing, the guy who's been a compulsive reader and a compulsive grower for 39 years went 4.5 months and read 1 book. Now, in my business, reading 1 book puts the whole company at risk, makes the seminars crap, makes the podcasts flat, makes for not a great husband, father, grandpa, or colleague, or, I will admit, brother. So I replaced this with that. Where am I at today? Trying to be the best example as I can. Immersion. Let this be the beginning of your line in the sand, not the one thing you're doing for the year. Okay? And what happens, we live in a world right now that's just bizarre. Bizarre. We had people not come to this event because of a comment I made on a podcast about the future of the economy. Because I quoted someone who's doing some cost cutting. I'm speaking about the economy. People, that's it, I'm not going. And I go, oh, now, by the way, that's never going to change my approach to anything. I just felt so bad for those people. You follow me? That became the excuse. Let me tell you, we got to get a little frickin' tougher than that. If a person's belief system is shook by that, God bless him. Let me say this, boys and girls. Let this event be the start between now and the end of this year of an immersion process that you pursue aggressively, that you understand that your authentic self, is the most valuable thing you have in all of creation. And that you being the very best, that's where it's at. It'll show up at home, it'll show up at work, and the same problems will carry a fraction of the weight. The same stress and worry will carry a fraction of the weight, if any weight at all. People want to get stress-free by doing nothing. The way you become stress-free is the stress does not have the impact on you anymore. Why? Because you're what? At your what? How many of you want to be at your best? That's what we have in store for you. That's what we have in store. For those of you who are brave enough to come on this journey and come and fill a ballroom like this and come and hang and be as hungry as you guys are, that's what we have in store. I think it's going to be special. Let me quote from the greatest motivational speaker who ever lived. His new book on humility is coming out next month. Just being yourself is good enough to be great. Change it to myself, and let's say it all out loud. 1, 2, 3. Just being myself is good enough to be great. Is that a true statement? How about we say it like it's true? 1, 2, 3. Just being myself is good enough to be great. If we believe that, we wouldn't spend all our time conforming, catching our words, not being that authentic self. Now, I'm not talking about, oh, yeah, I just go crazy. I'm just myself. No, that's not what I'm not talking about undisciplined. I'm not talking about uncaring. I'm not talking about ungracious. But I am talking about tapping into that power that's there, that we all have. So, with that said, one of the exciting things is that everybody who's here had to be nominated by their coach, had to fill in an application, and had to be here. And again, that's just because we're a company who's been around a long time. So the event drifted and this and that, and people had lots of different reasons for being here. Now we know why everybody's here. And along with that, the beautiful thing is we have some new folks. So where's all the folks who are here for the very first time? I need you to stand up, please. Here we go. Great stuff. All right. Here they are. And they're all like, why are we in the back? Because these guys got to sign up first. Beautiful. You hear that reception? You hear that reception? Because you know what they'll stay standing. Hey. Get back up. This ain't that kind of party. So what that reception is welcome. We're delighted to have you. We can't wait to hear what you have to say. Now, many of you are sitting here going, man, I'm going to shut my mouth for 3 days. Because I don't want them to find out. I lied on my application to get here. Let me say this. We do this little ceremony at the beginning of this event. We've done it since 2003. It's our version of the green jacket at the Masters. Okay, you think about it. My kids wanted to know, by the way, my kid said, Dad, you cried more at Rory McIlroy this year than you did your daughter's wedding and your mother's funeral. And I go, I'm a complicated man, kids. So why is the whole world bawling their eyes out of a really ugly jacket? Because of what it represents. And so this white hat is this. You know, long time ago, myself and Joe Negro were two of the top agents in the entire United States. And we met in a bar, because he has Irish blood as well. And the conversation was, what if we could put together a coalition that the good guys and good gals, the people who treat their customers right, have the right motivations, who have good hearts, who would help out one another instead of us against the world, who also then kill it production-wise. What if we could emphasize those people? And that's when we come up with the idea of the white hats. So I want all of you first-timers, take out your hat. The big dog is about to do the initiation. The biggest hog at the trough has to wear the biggest hat. So by the power vested in me, by the white hat community, I want to welcome you to a community of people that synergize, share, grow, and give referrals to one another. And then go out and bless their customers and do it in such a way that all your peers in your community go, what are you doing and how do you do it? So I want you to put on your hat. Welcome to the community. Here it is. Give it up, boys and girls. Give it up. Great stuff. Welcome. All right. You can sit down now. Okay, we're not going to make you stand for the whole 3 days. I love you too. I'm glad you're here. We're better because you guys are here. So, the real estate business is kind of a funny spot right now, isn't it? I saw this ad the other day. It said, how to buy a $450,000 home for only $750,000. My kids love Kevin Hart, so they sent me this. When you run into your buyer client at a car lot the week before closing. That was happening 30 years ago, and it still happens today, doesn't it? This one we made up ourselves. This I thought would really be accurate for the moment. Did you know, in order to play the role of insane and clinically depressed person, Joaquin Phoenix spent a year as a real estate agent, working with unrealistic sellers, indecisive buyers, and other agents who couldn't close a deal to save their life. So let's get some cheery news. Can we get the cheery stuff out of the way? Existing homes. How's existing home sales doing? Well, slowest pace since 2009. Now, how many of you are still selling homes? Let me see your hands. You're getting her done. You're getting her done. Times are interesting. Here's the last 50 years in real estate, and if you want to know why things are a little strange, there's a context of time. Let's take a look at this little graphic you might want to take a photograph of. Look at that. The 70s, 80s, 90s, even into 2000. And then here we go. Bingo, bango, bongo. And we're going to talk about it. And you're going to see it play it out. Society is going to play itself out in real estate. How many of you have young, ambitious people who have no chance of getting a house right now? Let me see your hands. Now, we're doing some particular work to try to help that and get the message out, whether I've been on all these different shows lately. But we're also going to go see something else. We're about to see the single largest transfer of wealth in the history of mankind. And baby boomers right now, and we'll talk a little bit about this in the second section, are getting ready to start handing off properties, which will come with its own set of complete problems as well, by the way. Because often people who didn't earn it don't value it. So there's another issue there to be faced. So we have these market conditions. Now, let me just say this. Recently, the stock market went to hell in a handbasket. And every day, and it was panic on the streets, right? Why? Why? Because we had to endure 30 days of awkwardness. Is Ben? Where's Ben? My broker, Ben. Where are you, buddy? Is he golfing today? Ben will tell you, we were buying. We were buying. Okay, just put it, whatever available cash I have, Ben, put it all in. People are going to be this stupid, let's go. And blessings on all the stupid people. Blessings. 14% in 60 days. It's pretty good. Thank you. Moron 1, moron 2. Bless you all. Wherever you are in the universe. Bless you all. Keep reading that crap. Keep getting your knickers in a twist. That's how easily swayed people are today. That's how they get away from their authentic self. That's why we're talking about what we're talking about today. Because we live in a culture today where there are influencers who are influential, who have no business having influence over anybody. But yet we'll listen to them. The book, now I didn't tell you about this, here it is. How many of you read this one? Great. Interesting? Kind of a little different take for us, right? Very valuable. If you bought it and didn't get it, you're here for 3 days, figured it out. Okay, I'm going to help you be authentic. Here's a definition. Let's go right, let's go to work. Authentic is a traditional, faithful resemblance of an original. A traditional, faithful resemblance of an original. Now, obviously, that's often used towards art. Okay? Traditional, faithful resemblance of an original. Well, I happen to believe in my faith tradition we have a creator who is creative, who created us. Think about this. 8 billion people on the planet. 8 billion people on the planet. And it has never been clinically proven that 2 people have the same set of fingerprints. I have twins whose fingerprints don't look alike. How is that even possible? It's not like it's that big of an area. Is that wild? Then we have internally our DNA. Never clinically proven in the history of mankind. 2 identical sets of DNA. You're unique. Created to be unique. Created to be authentic and leave your mark. Your authentic mark. Not the conforming mark, the authentic mark. And what happens is we just get away from it. Life beats us up, chanks us out, and here's some of the ways it happens. What causes us to be inauthentic? I mean, if we're created this way, designed this way, come out of the womb this way, what the heck happens? Well, it starts with I, the I in insecurity. First, I am not enough. Why are people terrified of public speaking? Because I'm not enough. What's the number one mistake people make when they go to do a talk? Blah, 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 blah. Here's the best 4 seminars you ever heard. Because I'm not enough. Second, a need for acceptance. We all want to be loved, but acceptance and love are not the same thing. And then people-pleasing. I come from a culture of hospitality. I come from a family. My dad used to spend his day, when we played golf as kids, always looking over our shoulder, making sure we weren't holding anybody up. In Ireland, it was always important to be thought of well. Okay? And now we have this. We have a currency in the culture today. The influencers. How many clicks do I get? The bodybuilder guy? Turns out everything he talked about and everything he said he did was a lie. Didn't matter. We don't live in a world where people say, where's that information come from? It comes up on Instagram. Here's the 5 things you need to do. Who are you? Here's the things, if you eat these things, you'll be healthy. The exact thing comes up. If you eat those things, you're going to explode. Is that true? We live in a culture today where nobody even questions the basics. Look at what's going on with the media right now. The media is getting exposed on a giant level because it wouldn't even ask the most basic questions. So it's very easy. We have all these sources of influence, just barrage all the time. Then we had a culture, like cancel culture. If you said this or didn't say that or said this or did that, you're persona non grata. You disappear from public life and makes everybody kind of rear back. So it's a big deal. It's why ultimately, well, I picked the movie Wicked because I'm a really good girl dad. That's the movie, to be honest with you. I'm a good girl dad. But there's some brilliant lessons in this thing. Brilliant lessons for us today. How many of you watched it? How many of you are like, what the hell is he going to do with that? I like it. It's been a while since I played with dolls. Now, I'm going to say this right now so I don't get canceled. These dolls sing. But in order for them to sing, they put the button right at the bus line, okay? So I'm not up here having an experience right now. I'm just, okay? But I have to, okay? So, but I'm not groping a doll, okay? Just so you know. Would have made sense for the belly button, but whatever. So we're going to dive right in. We're going to dive right in with a brilliant piece of acting and a great dynamic of what I would say is what we all think kids are exposed to, this need to be popular. But I see it more in the adults than anyone else. The need to conform, the need to fit in. What car we drive, what clothes we wear, where we live, how we talk, how we communicate. And that's why here we have a commonality of values. But I don't want you, I don't want to say, I don't get 100% of my business by referral, so I'm not going to say anything. Like, that is not what we're about, okay? You might be going to hell, but that's a different issue. You get what I'm saying? We have shared values, but everybody's got to be authentic in themselves when they show up. So I'm going to show this little video. Do you remember where there was a confrontation? And Galinda comes to Eliphaz, and she's going to fix her. Remember that? And what's she going to make her? Popular. Now, this gal's pretty authentic, and it's her journey through the movie where she comes not only to understand authenticity, but the pursuit of it and the grasp of it is where the power is. And she becomes the most powerful force in the whole movie. Comfortable in her own green skin. So this gal does a great job because I think it's a great piece of acting, it's a lovely piece of singing, but it's exactly where we have to go to war. So she says, okay, I want to teach you how to be popular. The instant she says that, watch her reaction in the video clip. She goes, ew. I'm going to teach you to be popular. Ew. Like, that's not something I'm looking for. But it's very alluring. It's a big deal. I'm going to teach you the proper poise to talk to boys, the way to flirt and flounce. I'll teach you what shoes to wear, how to fix your hair. Everything that really counts is the line in the song. Hang out with the right cohorts. Be good at sports. The slang you've got to know. And with an assist from me, because I'm all about me, you'll be who you'll be instead of dreary who you are. Because and later on she says, it's very shrewd to be popular like me. It's done in this, light-hearted, beautiful song, whatever else. But in it is some of the profound messaging I've ever seen of how culture, people, family members, friends, colleagues, whatever it is, can knock us off that authentic self. Because in our heart of hearts, we believe, no, it is dreary me. And I need to have more of that. I need to look this way, act this way, be this way, earn this way, do this thing. It happens in churches, it happens in businesses, it happens in marriages, it happens in families, it happens in culture and community. Being authentic is quiet. The need to conform and be popular is loud. You follow? Anyone who went to a school experienced this, right? To stand out, you were the weird one, and when you were weird, you got attacked, right? So the key was fit in. And people think people grow out of that when they become adults. No, fitting in just has a different price tag. Financially, economically, emotionally, okay? I travel around. I'm in country clubs and areas I've lived in the past. And some of the areas I didn't feel too comfortable because I didn't fit the mold. Does that make sense? Watch this quote. Marilyn Monroe. Wanting to be someone else is a waste of the person you are. Now, did she win this battle? I think it'd be fair to say not. It doesn't mean she didn't know what the battle was. So just knowing this is not enough. Just being aware is not enough. This has got to be an immersion. This has got to be a pursuit. This is why you need coaches. This is why you need cohorts. I have a difficult time explaining to every speaker who comes what this group is like. We have events that had been 5,000 and 6,000 people and done this stuff all over the world and yada, yada, yada. It's hard to communicate this, but it's ultimately the quality of who you are. And what's wild about many of you, you're like, I ain't nothing special. Okay? You just need a better marketing campaign and a better belief system. And then the understanding when you are more of who you actually are, you will be at your best. And at your best means you have more capacity for everything. More capacity for business, more capacity for life, more capacity for love, more capacity for everything. So after we get through insecurity, now we get to conformity. Now we got to conform. Hardcore pressure to conform. And our culture's gone through this in a way that had politics behind it, it had universities behind it, it had media and TV behind it. Some of those motivations were good. Some of it was built around, we think people struggle with coarse jokes or racism or this or that or the other, and so we're trying to stamp that thing out. And in of itself, it became its own religion. What's wild, I have 6 kids, and they go from millennials down to Gen Zs. And it's been fascinating to see the younger people come up. And I knew something was afoot because we would have a regular, at least once a week, we'd have 70, 80 kids at our house. Mr. B's is always the place to come and hang. We feed them well. They have a great time. There's lots of room. And there's no shenanigans going on in my house, so we always wanted the kids to bring their friends here. And when I would hear them watch, all these young kids watching The Office, and like, a show that you couldn't make today. And I was like, all these kids like it? And I could start to see it, that they'd had this stuff stuffed up their nostrils to the point that they're like, forget it, right? Because it's the job of the younger generation to challenge the inherent hypocrisies of the older generations that come before it. And I started to see it. So conformity became weaponized worldwide, and it still is in many parts of the world. So here's what conformity looks like. Everybody else has their act together. I guarantee you there are people sitting in this room right now, and you think that everybody else has their act together, and you're the stray who got in here. If you're the stray that got in here, well done. The guy in the blue suit is one of you. Compliance. Why do we do compliance? Because we don't want confrontation. This is my great sin. So much going on. I always got so much going on. I don't need the hassle. I don't pick a fight, whatever else. And because when I do, I'm pretty intense character. So the DEFCONs go up quickly. Well, it ends up happening, I live most of my days in compliance instead of leadership. The great Brian Buffini. It happens. And then you end up becoming a lukewarm, warmed-down version of yourself. And by the way, all the power disappears. All the power disappears. But I'll tell you what doesn't disappear. The feelings. So when you downplay and stop being yourself and you conform, let me tell you what grows inside. Resentment, complaining, frustration. It's like I am sucking it up 24/7. But I'm really not because it's coming out my pores. Does this make sense? And again, you become a different version of who you want to be. Not being myself over here, and then I'm really not being myself over here because I've actually stopped being myself, now become a negative person when I was born to be a positive one. If that makes sense, say aye. And then lastly, identification. What do I identify with? Okay? Again, Ariana Grande did a brilliant job on this. She showed an exact example of this, and we'll see throughout our examples here that this was not a deeply held belief. But her identification and it's shrewd to be popular. She used her popularity, her shrewdness, and her identification. Then when she has a professor who can't pronounce her name the way she wants it pronounced, she does a lot of damage. She does a lot of damage. Creates that conformity, creates that pressure, okay? And when our little authentic girl stands up to say, hey, this isn't the biggest deal in the world that you're making the biggest deal in the world. Oh, she gets the hit. The authentic one will take the hits, but when you're truly authentic, the hit doesn't feel like a hit anymore. Are you guys with me? Not unless you're trying to be. Touch the breast. Yes. I'm not taking it home. So sometimes you're going to face some negativity when you stand up for originality. Does that make sense? And the more false the environment is, the more that'll happen. Now, sometimes it just tells you, these aren't my people and this isn't my place. So why am I trying to fit in with that? We're witnessing this, and this happens in every environment. And again, I'm not trying to get political here, but it's an easy target, which is the mainstream media. 80% of Americans observed that President Biden was struggling. Okay? We'd make a few little jokes here and there at the event. But everybody knew that. No matter what party anybody, people knew the guy was struggling. Mainstream media refused to report on it. Now those same people are publishing books and getting $6 million advances to expose the outrage. The people who are in the media doing the outrage that the media missed this. That's happening like today. There's a book being launched today where the head guy on CNN got $6 million for this book. And he was the most blind of anybody. That is across the culture. It's in businesses. It's everywhere. I use that as such a glaring example. This is not, I'm having to stretch here to make points out of a movie. This is all the time. And guess what? Glenda could have worked at CNN. Because she's in an environment where all of a sudden the boyfriend and the authentic Elphaba have this interaction. She's like, hold on. Because it's shrewd to be popular, right? So now I better change my story. And the very thing that she used to humiliate and control the environment about her name, she now makes the big presentation that she's changing her name in solidarity with the same person she put down. And you go, that's just a goofy movie. I'm telling you, that is every hour of every day in our culture today. Because when your values are clear, your decisions are easy. When you're just trying to be focused on popularity and pleasing, your values go out the window. Are you with me? Part of your authenticity is what you believe in, what's important to you. That's important for you to be that, not some conformist. You follow me? And so we need people of all kinds of different perspectives in order for this thing to work. This democracy, our culture, our society, families. But we got to the point now we can't hear a differing opinion of any sort, or we cut the person off because we are so insecure. We can't tolerate a different thought. We are so unintelligent that we can't contrast a thought that might make us go, How many of you, honest to goodness, have had big thoughts over the last 5 years on things you thought were a certain way, on big thought, and it turned out to be another way? Could I see your hands? I sure as heck have. And then we shut off these opinions going forward? Not great. Our hero, Glenda, changes her name because even her name, which was portrayed as the most important thing to her, is expendable in order to conform and manipulate. Inauthentic people go to extraordinary lengths to control. Extraordinary lengths to control. If you've struggled with control, which means you're a human being, it's not the authentic side of who you are is fighting for that. You find yourself, control is good. I want the pilots to be in control of the flight. Controlling is bad. They tell me what to do, where to sit, how to eat, what to do, da-da-da-da-da-da. You follow me? Because control only comes out of what emotion? Only ever fear. Only ever fear. One of my favorite verses of all time. Do not conform to the pattern, the word pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll approve and test what the will of God is. So number one question asked of Google every year, what's the will of God for me? No? So number one question, worldwide, what's God's will for my life? Billions of people ask that question every year. And there it is. Tells you what to do. First of all, don't conform to the pattern, the habits. Don't fall in. Okay? Netflix once in a while, okay. All the time? Not okay. Scroll on the phone? Okay. 6 hours a day? Not okay. You follow me? Because we end up conforming to the pattern. But B, what's the word? Transformed. Why are you here? Why are you here? I mean, it's nice. Okay? I brought people to Arizona in September when it was hotter than the face of the sun. So we came at the right time of year. Would you guys agree with that? Okay? To be transformed, and how are you supposed to be transformed? The renewing of your mind. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing together here. Next thing, anxiety. That's why we're bringing in Dr. Delony. Dr. Delony, there's 100 fake, cheap psychologists on the market today and 1 million of them online. This guy, who's a friend of mine, is the truth. And he's the truth with grace. And he's a brilliant human being. And you're going to get to experience him twice this afternoon. Why? Because we're in a business where anxiety is the currency. It's the gas in the car. We're all a little adrenaline junkies. You work for yourself. You don't have a paycheck. So by very nature, you're like a goalie in hockey. You like the puck coming at your face. Right? It's what we are. And that same desire for that juice and that energy and making that sale and doing what we didn't think was possible and growing and stretching ourselves, also the flip side to it is anxiety, cortisol, and all kinds of stuff. Are you guys with me? So we got the good doc coming. It's going to be awesome. He says this, anxiety isn't the problem. Anxiety is just the alarm system, letting people know things are off the rails. People have created very anxious lives, and their bodies are trying to get their attention. We're going to help you. So, how does anxiety come down? First of all, with worry. Here it is. It's been around a long time, worry. Did you know? Right? Jesus said, don't worry about tomorrow. Today has enough troubles of its own. George Washington said this, worry is the interest paid by those who borrow trouble. That's why they have a statue to that man. Next thing that brings up that anxiety is fear, obviously. Charlie Chaplin said, nothing is permanent in this wicked world, not even our troubles. How great is that quote for our event? Nothing is permanent in this wicked world, not even our troubles. Because it will come and it will go. This too shall. Thank you, Beverly. And then again, control, like I mentioned. Our anxiety does not come from thinking about the future, but wanting to control it. And that's ultimately why so many of the medicines fail in that regard. There's some of them that are more helpful than others, but a lot of them fail. By a factor of 11, the most prescribed medicine in America. By a factor of 11. Now, there's good uses for it, and there's clinical aspects of this, and antipsychotics and things like that. But the truth of the matter is anxiety comes from wanting to control the future. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know who holds the future. And I'm going to leave that there. Okay? And do my best when? Today. Because the authentic life is lived moment by moment. That's it. Here's the next one. This is a simple one. Comparison, right? Comparison's a simple one. Easy to get caught up. Teddy Roosevelt, again, been around a long time. Comparison is the thief of joy. Look at how our presidents used to talk. Isn't that crazy? That's lovely. Maybe my favorite quote for the whole event is this one. My friend got a tattoo on his arm that says, comparison is the thief of joy. I'm really debating getting the same tattoo on my arm, but a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. So where does comparison have its foundation? You're not going to like this one. I don't like this one. It starts with envy. Okay? By the way, the number one thing that's done to store up people, the easiest way to win an election is to get people envious of another group. Easiest thing in the world to do. Because it's already there. Right? So it's very easy to do. How much does it take for a person to be truly happy? They asked Rockefeller. What did he say? Just a little more than he has. Okay? I lived in a neighborhood where the average sales price was $10 million. My neighbor across the street, who sold his company for $1.2 billion, had his house on the market. I said, where are you going? He goes, well, the dude up the street, man, that's a house. He's living in a $10 million, 10,000 square foot home, but the guy up the street, now that's a house. Are you guys with me? There's always someone with a bigger plane. There's always someone with a bigger house. There's always someone with a bigger net worth. There's always. That game is a losing game, okay? The most joy I've ever had in a home was after our house burned down. We were forced to move 6 times, okay? We had 6 children who were homeschooled, who were over the moon. Their school had burned down. And we'd move to a house and we'd pay the rent and they wouldn't pay the mortgage. And we'd get evicted. Remember back in those days? We ended up moving 6 times in 18 months. I mean, Moses had an easier time going through the desert. At one stage, we ended up in a guest house of one of our properties, which was 900 square feet. 6 kids, me and Bev. When our kids get together, that's always one of the first memories that's brought up. We were thick as thieves. 6 kids sleeping on the floor. And, we moved back in, built the big home and all that kind of stuff, yada, yada. But that was special. That was special. And when you're comfortable in your own skin, the walls and the surroundings and whatever else, it becomes a joy, and it's a beautiful thing, and I'm very environmentally connected, and it's great. Okay? Great quote here. A flower does not think of competing to the flower next to it. It just blooms. We can take a lesson. On the comparison side, we get into selfish ambition, not just healthy ambition, selfish ambition. Ambition is a virtue, selfish ambition is a sin. What is the definition of selfish ambition? It's a desire to succeed at the expense of others. I win, you lose. That's selfish ambition. I get the acknowledgement, you don't. I get the praise, you don't. I get the results, you don't. So we have envy, ambition, and then the last part of comparison is inadequacy. I feel inadequate. It's at a deep level, so deep I don't even know it. We quote from everybody. Even a German fashion designer got into the seminar. He said, personality begins where comparison ends. Now think about what his job is. He's one of the great European designers. Out the clothes, the runway, the whole thing. And he goes, people's actual personality shows up when they stop comparing themselves. Why? Because he understands it very well. Another piece to this puzzle, and we'll get on to the winning side of this very soon, is what causes it to be inauthentic is this lack of championing in our lives. Somebody championing, multiple people championing us. There's natural gaps of parents. No matter how great your parents were, they had gaps. Some of your parents weren't great at all. And there's people in this room with all kinds of scars and challenges with that. Stepdads, stepmoms. Sometimes the interpretation of a child when you heard something. Okay? Maybe you heard it, well, why can't you clean up your room like your sister or brother? Or don't get your hopes up, honey. Sometimes a parent trying to be gracious. My dad, God bless him, he's having a third rebirth right now. Okay? He's received the last rites twice. I've gone home to see him at the bed, big long night, huggy, cryy times. Last time I call him back, after he's going to be gone in a week, and I call him. He answers the phone. And in classic Buffini loving fashion, I go, "You're still alive?" I said, "I'm going to start calling you Lazarus." He goes, "No. He only came back from the dead once. I've done it 3 times. They put a putting green outside in the care home, and my sister says, "What type of putter should Dad get?" I thought he was getting measured for a coffin 3 years ago, and now we're sending him over to 2-ball Titleist. My dad told me when I was 14 years of age, one of 6 kids, big family, He says, you're the one I don't have to worry about. He meant it as a compliment. He did. Can you see in his mind? You're going to make it no matter what. He didn't say that. He said, you're the one I don't have to worry about. How did I interpret it? I wanted him to worry about me. And I interpreted it as a lifelong person from that point, I'm on my own. If it is to be, it's up to me. Now, the problem is, that's a mentality that can take you places. That's a mentality that can have you have all kinds of success, but not ultimate success. And so that is my Achilles heel to this day. I always have to take a breath and realize, by the way, that's a fallacy because I've never been on my own. I've never not had God's providence on my life. I've never not had a great wife and great kids and great support people and all that. That's never happened. But it's that feeling. And that lack of championing can be real, and some of you in this room have endured some very hard things in your young life. It can also be perceived. Intentional, usually unintentional, often even perceived. And we all have the scars. It's one of the reasons why culturally today, all my kids are in coaching. And one of the things they see, in fact, Alex is the head coach of this high school volleyball team that just went to the state championship. And Beverly's the assistant coach, cheating. And Alicia, the all-time setter in the state of California, cheating. And we have this little school. And one of the things they typically do, I used to come in and speak to the parents at the start of every season. And now Alex he does it himself. And he explains the role of adversity. And that if they'll stick with it, some of the kids are not going to get a chance to play very often. That's not a reason to quit, get upset, go away. They're not valued. We're going to coach the heck out of these kids. We're going to love on these kids. And they're going to grow and they're going to learn. And if you're willing to fight that fight as a parent, you're going to get a great kid as this continues to grow. Some do and some don't. The world we live in today, we're all the persons we are today because of the adversity we faced, but the dominant culture says, I want my kids to avoid adversity at all times. Okay? And we're making them weak. Maybe you had mentors, teachers, and coaches. Okay? I went to the Christian Brothers School in Outlands in Still, Oregon, in Dublin, and I had a priest look me in the eye and tell me, you're just not a very creative person, because my handwriting wasn't good. And it wasn't until later life. My whole life for the last 30 years is creativity, right? I'm up here touching the boobs of a doll to make a point. Maybe that's what the priest was trying to save people from. But you've had coaches say something, teachers, and it didn't always mean it wasn't the truth, but sometimes it was delivered in a certain way. A good mentor helps mentees grow not by sharing knowledge, but inspiring confidence in whatever it is. What is there to be truly confident about? And many of you now are in the role of mentor, parent, grandparent. How can you do that? Inspire confidence in what's true, in what's true. And then lastly, a lack of community. That's why this is such a special group. All different walks and talks, shapes and sizes, ages, perspectives, and businesses. What a brilliant community this represents in the grander Buffini and Company community that we're very proud to put our name to it. I was blessed, and I've shared my champion with the world. This is what I got when I was a kid. And that's why, 25 million people got to hear her little blessing. Pretty wild deal. So I know I was fortunate, and to whom much is given, much is required. Okay? And so if I could say every one of your individual names right this second, I'd want to pass on from my heart to yours. You can do it. You can do it. And I know the one thing you can do is you can be at your best. And I know the authentic version of how you're designed no matter the mistakes you've made, the things you wish you'd done over, is designed to be awesome. Just being yourself is good enough to be great. So we talked about the bad news. There's always a little Shawshank Redemption. There's a little beach scene always at the end of my seminars. Right? I never leave you there, do I? So we know insecurity, conformity, anxiety, comparison, a lack of championing. Well, what's the other side? Here it is. You guys got ready? We're going to go ready. We're going to go quick. I have a very powerful thing to show you, and then you can go pee. Number one, know yourself. This is the book. This is why I gave you the homework. This is why those who read it will reread it, and this is why those who didn't, get it going. Know yourself. Own yourself. Be yourself. Know yourself. Own yourself. Be yourself. I want you to say it out loud, but I want you to say myself. So number one, know. Number two. Number three. That is a great affirmation to start the day. Know, own, be. And now we've taken one more step towards greatness. Here's a question. When are you most you? We're going to get a chance. I'm putting this into your mind right now. I'm doing a little psychological exercise with you. I'm putting this into your brain because we're going to write this later. When are you most you? I want you to just start now, right at the back of your mind. Boom. Ticker's on. During the break, have a coffee, have a snack. Boom. Carl Jung said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Identify your most authentic relationships. And authentic relationships can become inauthentic over time. You have to always be working on it. Now that the Pope's Catholic, he's American, I mean. Let me keep moving. The friend who can be silent with us in a moment of despair or confusion, who can stay with us in an hour of grief and bereavement, who can tolerate not knowing, not healing, and not curing, that is a friend who cares. That is a friend who cares. And then lastly, pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to your dreams. The great C.S. Lewis said, you're never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. Never too old. One of my favorite clients of all time, Arlene Holt, Clearwater, Florida, started with us at 87, had a 25-year plan, had her best year ever at 94, left us at 97. She was the client that mentored me. She was the client who mentored me. By the way, ladies, I have a lot of great female mentors. Do not underestimate your power. Next, understand your past mistakes. And you're going to own yourself? Okay, fess up. Let me tell you this. The person who is absolutely unwilling to recognize and verbalize their mistakes is doomed to repeat them out of insecurity. Again, from Catholic priest to Confucius here. A man who's committed a mistake that doesn't correct it is committing another mistake. Next, understand your defense mechanism. What's your defense mechanisms? Explaining things away, always having an answer. Sometimes doesn't need an answer at all. Here it is. This is a great one. Being overly independent, me, is a defense mechanism from being constantly let down. Sometimes wrong expectations, sometimes wrong communication. In owning yourself, creating your personal mission statement. Who are you? What are you about? What do you stand for? What do you stand for? I'm not going to lie. In preparing Alex's team for the run at this championship, the team had never even made that school had never even made the playoffs. And they came by for a swim party and whatever else, and I just couldn't lay off. I had in the background playing Miracle on Ice. I couldn't let it alone. And, of course, Alex was all jacked up about it, and he comes in. And they came into the house right at the time when it goes, who do you play for? Who do you play for? And he was breaking down that team to go, USA. And they came together as a group and did something miraculous. Sorry, Canadians are here. I know hockey's tough right now. But it's for us individually, it's what do you play for? And who? A personal mission statement becomes the DNA for every other decision we make. When your values are clear, your decisions are easy. And it's not just something like we've all had exposure to this personal mission statement. This is something to work through. This is something to wrestle through. This is something to have conversations with your buddies here about. You might be surprised who might have something that goes, not to conform and copy, but like, hey, that's kind of different than what I've been doing. And then be yourself. Be yourself. Accept who you are. You know what? This is how God made me to be. Not to be, because sometimes when people first get their profile, when we give them, they're like, this is how I am, deal with it. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But acceptance of the gifts you have and the shortcomings that are built in. My friend Bob Bodine always says, we're all born a cup short, half cup short, because we need other people. We all need some help. Everybody. So when you acknowledge, here's where my half cup is, these are my gifts. Some people go to, I'm nothing. Not true. And then here's my half cup short, and I need to fill that with a whole variety of things. The great Oscar Wilde said, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. The Irish are just better at words than everyone else. Next, be your own advocate. Why not? Be your own advocate. Stand up for yourself the right way, with grace. With grace. But, you know, the Bible says don't hide your lamp under a bush. Okay? Don't just conform and be quiet and stop being, and what's there? There's a power there. Miranda Barrett said, as you become your own advocate and your own steward, your life will beautifully transform. Okay? Now, you don't have to do it loudly, and you don't have to argue for it. You know, if you're doing any of that stuff, you're not doing it in an authentic way. Just solid, sure. Sometimes your response is silence, but always you advocate for who you are and what you believe in your own heart. And then lastly, stay in your sweet spot. And we're going to do a whole bunch of work on that today. We're going to get into that sweet spot. That's like when the tuning fork goes off. Might be on an appointment, a little interaction. First time I did public speaking, I didn't think I'd be any good at that. So it goes off. Einstein said this, everyone is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Because everybody talked to him about being a genius. And because he was a genius, he knew, no, my genius is in astrophysics. Your genius is in relationships. Your genius is in communicating. Your genius is in listening. Your genius is in creativity. Your genius is in compassion and empathy, in courage. Where's your genius lie? And good old Will said it this way, this above all else, to thine own self be true.